So this is the first installment of Go Beyond the Wine, the conversations around the enjoyment of the wine world and why people in the wine world do what they do and what wine means to all of us. And thank you, Barb, so much for agreeing to talk to me today about wine. And you are the good wine gal. Barb Wild, why don't you tell us why are you the good wine gal?
Well, there's probably a really long answer to that question.
Go ahead.
No, but I think if I was to be fair, I would say probably my whole life I was searching for purpose. And purpose is really about what's my role in the world. And, I've done a lot of things. And one day I was reading a story or an article about, what the future, if you were going to invest your time and energy in anything in 10 years from now, these 10 industries would be a payoff. And one of them was wine. And it was ironic that I was reading this because wine had always been in my life. I love food. But I never thought of wine like that. I thought of food, like what restaurant am I going to for the menu, not the wine list. And so it was kind of like an epiphany that, as much as I've enjoyed the wine, the food, the menus at these amazing restaurants all over the world, I've also really enjoyed the wine. But I really couldn't tell you the difference between Burgundy and Bordeaux. I really didn't know. I didn't. And so
I think a lot of people are in that situation. You might like something, you don't really know what you're drinking, and it can be kind of intimidating too. It's a big world.
And in a restaurant, a sommelier comes to the table and you've ordered some lovely dishes and you're looking at the wine list and all you can think is something in English. So you go to California, right? But I speak French and German, but that doesn't help me with producers in France or even the region that I was in France. If you don't, you still have to understand geography and how wine is labeled. So, we spent a lot of time sipping California and yeah. And so I decided in 2011 that I was going to start studying wine. And that was after I studied sustainability. And it seemed like a really nice marriage because from a business standpoint, you could see how you could really make a difference by sharing the vision of sustainability with vineyards who needed to move away from pesticides. And, so it all really made sense. And then the good wine piece is that I don't want to present something people can't approach. So the good isn't expert. The good isn't the best. The good is what do I need to know about wine so I can have a good experience? And what is good wine? So, I think good wine is something where you pay a price, you think it's offering you more value than you've paid, and it turns your experience into something marvelous.
Yeah, it's a very subjective concept, the concept of good and
100%.
Good wine. Yeah, and it's kind of freeing to think of it like that because you're not supposed to like what everyone tells you is good. You like what you like, and that makes it good for you.
Yeah, 100%. And wine is so personal, isn't it?
It is. So speaking of the personal aspect of wine experiences, can you tell me about one experience, a wine experience that really is outstanding in your mind, that is a memory that's indelible? What's a highlight for you?
I would say I was very fortunate. I had a friend living in Napa and I visited in 2011. So again, this was in the same time frame where I'm contemplating and thinking about and studying sustainability and starting to sort of take the first courses in wine. And we stayed in Napa City. And she had been living there for about 4 years. So she picked up the phone and I've got this wine person from Canada and and Lynn Coulthard had been teaching, I think level 2 or 3 or both. And she had said, oh, go to Yountville and go to Bistro Gentil and make sure you go to Domaine Chandon if you need to get to Hendry. And there was all these people who had so much to offer. And it was life-changing. It was like going to Disneyland for adults, but in a way, like we went in November, we went for American Thanksgiving, and I have to say that was probably the best time I could have gone. A harvest, all the leaves were in this golden color, and people had time, and all the winemakers, like we were treated so well, and we had such amazing meals with amazing wine. And yeah, the hospitality factor has always been high in the US from my experience. I don't know what they have captured that somehow we miss, but I'll never forget, and I tell everyone the story from both a business perspective and a wine perspective, but we went to Péjus. And Péjus is one of those wineries where their bottles aren't broadly distributed. They sell probably most of their wine from their winery in Napa. That may have changed. It's like, look, we're almost 10 years since I did that. But, you know, it was very organized. It's a beautiful vineyard. The gardens are spectacular. There's art installations. You go into the like gift shop, you register that you're coming in, and they knew we were, and we had a time, and everybody queues up, and then the room empties on the other side, and all these people shuffle into the next tasting, and it's so organized. And there were 4 tasting bars, 10 people at each bar. And the gentleman that starts is like, hello and welcome to Péjus. And he's just so excited, and he's delighted we're here. And he has this story to tell you about each wine. And they had a rosé called Provence. And seriously, I wasn't even sure I understood the whole Provence thing. So we had this lovely rosé, and that starts us off. And their big wines were, of course, red. And by the time we were done, everybody's like ready to buy. So I think the tasting was probably, let's say, 30 minutes. And at the end, he brings out his little mobile device, and everybody's tapping or inserting their cards and buying wine. And we were so happy to buy wine from Péjus for all of the reasons. It's exclusive, you know, it's not broadly available, and the price is just winery pricing. And today, if you buy this, then, you know, we get that. And by the time we were done, we had like bags of wine. And
isn't that amazing?
It was amazing.
And it sounds like you were really part of the winery, part of the story, just really brought in by such a warm host.
I never forgot it. And then I asked some questions as a business person. And I said, you know, how does this work? He said, oh, I sell about $1 million worth of wine every year. And I said, I beg your pardon? Never heard anybody talk like that before. Just this one tasting bar with 10 people, and yeah, and their organization and the structure and the way they brought people in, but they're very friendly, and it didn't feel like it was in any way too structured, or that the conversation was artificial, or it was amazing. And I just felt like this was part of the magic. And these are folks from, I think they're from southern France. They've brought their taste and their quality to Napa, and doing very well. Like, they're still there. You can see the winery online. It's you know, Péjus.com.
Okay. So that is worth checking out. And I think the word that was coming to my mind as you were describing that was, in fact, magic, because it is an opportunity. You're just transported. And I think that's what we look for. I mean, that's it from my perspective anyway. If I go to a winery, I want to know the story. I want to know the magic. I want to feel transported and part of the place, that sense of place that you have from the wine, but also everything that surrounds the wine, you know, that goes beyond the wine, you know, and that's this theme of beyond the wine. There's so much more than just the wine in that winery experience. And it's exciting to see our Okanagan wineries growing and expanding. And you know, soon, hopefully, we'll all be going back to the Okanagan and tasting wine together with our friends.
Oh my gosh, won't that be wonderful? Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And you know, the thing is, without good wine, you really don't have anything. So I think that's what we see, especially like the elevated status of the Okanagan and the amazing winemakers that we have, and the effort that's going into making just really quality, award-winning, age-worthy wines. like really world class.
Yes, the region has come a long way in a relatively short time, although it's not, a new wine region. But tell me
Well,
about.
it is on scale. I was in.
Well, yeah, I know, but yeah, like it's not that it just they started making wine 5 years ago. I mean, but yes,
No,
fair
but
enough.
I was in Alsace in November, and they've been making wine for 400 years. And
Yes,
then I'm in
yes.
the Okanagan, and we've been making wine for 40 years. So we're babies, babies,
Babies in the grand scheme. Yes,
babies.
yes. Uh, Fair enough. Fair enough. Absolutely. Yeah. So you have a really interesting project coming up that takes people beyond the wine with your virtual tastings. And now everyone has been, well, most of the wineries that are going to be able to stay alive have had to pivot to virtual experiences. And I love that, you and you're working with a partner, and a few partners actually. Tell me a little bit more about that. How is that all organized, and what are elements that a virtual tasting must have in order to be successful?
Ooh, so this is a little tricky. A great question, because we're all pivoting. So I'm an extrovert, probably have some introvert qualities, but when this all started, wonderful people at the Metro Vancouver Wine Club were like, we got to get online and we got to taste together. And it was like, yes, we do. And, but people are busy, and I don't have, that job that a lot of people have, which is still going on now in their home. I simply have the space to create. I've been writing and, doing other things. But so the decision kind of was, how can I serve my wine community? And I decided that I would create a happy hour at 5:00. And the choice for 5:00 was, it's 5:00 somewhere. 5:00 is the time to remember. Most people think of happy hour at 5:00, and my friends on the East Coast can join, and it's just not too late. So I guess since like I don't know, March the 2030.
Yes.
I can't even remember.
I
What day
know,
is it?
500 days in March. Yeah.
Yeah, 500 days in March. So every day at 5:00 on Zoom, using the same recurring codes, and they're in my LinkedIn profile. I just hold space, and sometimes 12 people show up, sometimes 6 people show up, sometimes nobody shows up. That's rare. And when nobody shows up, I play with the recording and I make videos, which is kind of fun. But invariably, I'm interrupted. The video call, really goes for an hour, and it all started on a whim, and it's kind of become this thing that I'm just kind of committed to, because discipline is something that we are all being asked to show with our staying in and social distancing. So I feel like it's the least that I can do for my community, is just to be present and to hold space for them. So, but then that incubated
With
some
wine.
things. With wine. And actually, it started out with what's in your glass, what are you sipping? Because there are people who love whiskey and people who love beer, and BC's not, or this happy hour isn't limiting. But of course, I'm a good wine gal and I love wine. So, but the other day we did have beer for May the 4th be with you.
Yes. Good.
We had the Daggerad Solo House Party special IPA.
Oh.
That works, but so we did a whole silly Star Wars theme. It was very good. But holding space and playing with Zoom and having people on Zoom and having these conversations, and you kind of start recognizing some things. Super intimate. I get to spend so much time with someone I haven't seen in a while, and it's one-on-one, and we have an hour, and we can just share like everything, and it's super comfortable. And I'm in my own home, and I'm super relaxed, and then I can see myself, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should be a movie star too. But got to thinking about, so my passion sort of driving me was to be an educator. I wanted to teach more. I wanted to inspire. And I thought how I would inspire people is by teaching. But I think I can inspire by making opportunities available. So I reached out to Mark Shipway, who I feel is kind of one of the top Vancouver wine educators, and I I kind of said to him on a curveball, I suppose, hey, what do you think about online wine education? He was like, well, I don't know how that would go. I'm like, well, I'll show you.
Yeah. Good. Wow.
And he's been so supportive. And it's the first one we did. He was as excited as I was, just to see people kind of think this is something. And the thinking that it's something means it's got a broader audience than we're even reaching. And so the opportunity, I feel, is significant. And I also have this other amazing friend, Khalil Ashanti, who has created an app called We Show Up. And he's been encouraging me to build a community using this app. And it's not selfish in any way, but this app is so well designed. It provides me with everything I need. So it kind of provided Mark and I a way to kind of monetize without e-transfer and managing kind of the minutia of keeping track. It does that all for us. So it automated our process so we could focus on developing our materials to create kind of fun sessions that are about food and wine and regions and history and maps and rivers and rocks and, you know, all the things that people want to kind of feel and touch, and it's on their screen, big screen.
And all those trips that we're not going on now,
100%.
We can travel vicariously, virtually with you and Mark.
100%. And the secret, I think, is, it's not a secret. The key is, how do you get engagement if you can't pour 6 different styles of wine and they'll taste? And it was like, you know what? We're going to have to kind of just go with it. So we publish a list of recommended wines and we say, go buy one. And we can have 1 or 2. We don't. You have a screen. You can have 2 people at your screen on your sofa with your. So people are sharing the wine they chose, and we like the show and tell, which is Mark does the 20 or 40-minute presentation, and then we go around the Zoom screen, and everybody gets to say, "Oh, this is my wine. I got this at this shop. I paid this much money for it. This is what it smells like. This is what it tastes like. The flavors are lasting. Yeah, I'd probably buy it again. And, you know, I'm going to have it with my chicken McNuggets or
Okay,
we should be eating French fries, apparently. So
that's interesting that you have that interactive component. So you've combined the learning, the presentation with Mark's lesson and his teaching, and then it's interactive and people, the attendees, can participate. And so presuming you have also Q&A, you're answering questions and they can speak or write them in the chat.
100%.
Yeah.
And so we kind of took happy hour and learning and went smoosh.
Sounds like a beautiful marriage.
Well, listen, it's incredible. All I can say is my joy, my good, happy feelings are here, and it's coming from the response that we get, and that people are saying things like, I just want to do this forever. I want to learn. This is going to be the best way for me to learn going forward. I can do this when I come home. I can turn off the laptop and turn this on. I don't have to go anywhere. I can do this in my jammies. I can do it on the sofa. You know, like,
it's almost like a Dr. Seuss thing. I can do it in my jammies. I can do, yeah. But so can people, do you also, do you record the sessions? Could people go back and review them? Is there an archive?
So Ashli, you're just adorable because we've done 5 sessions. So this is early days, but the big plan will be, I mean, come on, the very first one we did must have just been such a, we didn't have Zoom Pro. It would drop at 40 minutes. We had technology issues because everybody was learning Zoom at the same time.
Fair enough. And you got to start somewhere, you know? I mean, any YouTube account that you look at for someone who's really slick at it right now, go back and look at when they first started 10 years ago, their first videos.
100%.
So we got to take comfort in that and know that, you know, you start somewhere and you just continue improving. Kaizen.
Yeah. And you learn from your mistakes. So we bought Zoom Pro on the recommendation of our guests. Please,
So
people, we don't want to do this anymore. Just buy the thing.
crowdsourced wisdom. I love it. I love it.
So
Oh,
I think one of the keys is having really great relationships. And we have some really amazing people in our community, and it's small, but it's growing. And
I'm
it's
sure.
really people who want to be a part of something in isolation. And, you know, I just keep saying isolation is better with wine and friends. And, you know, I don't
And that's,
know
I
what order that is in.
fair enough. And they're kind of all, yeah, in the same wonderful, beautiful basket. And I think that's why we saw wine sales go up 40% in the month of March, because people are, you know, turning to wine for some cheer and some respite. And, you know, I like to think that there's so much more than wine in a bottle of wine. And it's that, you know, comfort at the end of a day of hard work or celebration, or you can't believe what happened to me, come on over and let's have some wine, I got to tell you about it, you know, with your friend.
Yeah.
A good thing or a not so good thing, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yep.
wine is that, it's that companion, that constant companion.
Yeah.
So if in a word,
Hmm.
if there's more than wine in your bottle of wine, what is in your bottle of wine besides the liquid?
I like to think it transports me somewhere, and that I'm sipping the dirt and sipping the actual grapes and inhaling the air and licking the rocks. And, you know, I have a good imagination, but it's the transporting to somewhere special.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, it's a voyage. It is. Oh, dreamy. So where can people find out about your tastings?
Ooh, well, I post almost everything on my Facebook page, which is Good Wine Gal.
Okay.
We have an event page called Good Wine Gal on the We Show Up app. So all of the event listings are there, including our new hashtag BC Wine Wednesday, which launches next week with Anne Sperling and Sperling Vineyards. And our ideas to transport us all to the tasting room of Sperling Vineyards and to hear about
that sounds dreamy. So BC Wine Wednesday launches on the 13th of May.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be savoring a bottle on video, posting that somewhere.
Woohoo! I think I'm going to join you for that too.
Mm.
And I'll write all of those details in the accompanying this when I post it online.
Awesome.
Yeah, so people can check you out and they won't miss Wine Wednesdays.
Yeah, and if they're not on Facebook, I do have a Good Wine Gal Instagram account. And then, of course, people can always email me, goodwinegal@gmail.com, and then I'll add them wherever they need to be added. But yeah, it's
amazing.
Accessible.
Amazing. Okay. Well, that sounds fantastic. Barb, thank you so much for taking time today. It was so lovely.
Awesome to catch up and chat and share.
Yes, and I'll see you absolutely. Oh, well, actually, I'm going to see you in just a little bit for Wine Wednesday today, because today is Wednesday.
Yes, so today we're shifting our Wine Wednesday to BC Wine Wednesday, and everybody just bring a bottle of BC wine and a glass, and we're going to be talking about BC wine.
Amazing. Thanks again, Barb.
All right, Ashli, have a great day.